Harold Epps, very good dear friend of mine from Philadelphia. Harold, he's a former employee of a company called PRWT. It's the largest African-American owned company in the state of Pennsylvania. This guy worked for Fortune 500 companies. He led them out of financial turmoil to make them emerging companies and just mega companies of the future. This guy is setting the economic agenda for African Americans, not just throughout the state, but clearly throughout the region. He is currently the Commerce Director with the City of Philadelphia. I depend on him for so many things. He's always come through. When I asked him to come to York, Pennsylvania, he did not hesitate with his very, very busy schedule. Actually, he had another commitment today that he dropped just so he could be here today. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a nice warm welcome. Mr. Harold Epps.
Well, let's see. Good morning. I'm a Southern boy, born in North Carolina, so I get a little antsy when I'm in a pulpit. Carrie, I want to thank you for inviting me. This is the way God works. He made it rain today, so I don't have any ills that I'm not on the golf course. But I am where I'm supposed to be. Anytime that I get to be with my people, I feel at home, and anytime I can support my fraternity brother, I'm so happy to do so. Let me just say that Dr. Jamie Bracey has already given my speech, because at the end of the day, there is no economic development without education. All right, let me say that again. There is no economic development without education. Now, I look at your agenda today, Carrie, and you've got some of my dearest friends, Joanne Bell, George Burrell, and others. And so down at the bottom, when you talk about the topics, education, economic development, diversity and inclusion, and political action, they are all one and the same. They're all one and the same, and let nobody get it confused. Now, I don't know whether the governor showed up this morning or not, but let me just say that at the beginning, he appointed Kerry to this role. And Kerry and I were on Governor Tom Wolf's Finance Committee upon his first election. And so we're going to talk about economic development in a minute, but I want to start with, there is a political governance election coming up soon. All right? Make no mistake about it. It is our duty to make sure that Tom Wolf gets reelected. See, part of economic development is based upon a political environment. Now, Tom Wolf succeeded a Republican. Kerry can tell you what happened to all the economic development initiatives in the Commonwealth when he was in office. Fundamentally, there were none. They all went away. So I think Kerry told me this when we were talking. 67 counties in Pennsylvania, 66 of them supported Tom Wolf and one did not. Which one did not? Say that again. Where's Tom Wolf from? Jamie, it takes a lot to get your mouth to go wild. Yeah, that's true. Yes, that's true. So, see, I'm a numbers guy. So I had my stat people. You know, when you're commerce director for the 6th largest city in the world, in the nation, you got a lot of people that will run around to get your data. Well, and this is my briefcase. Democrats outnumber Republicans in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania by about 800,000 people. You hear me? 800,000 people. So, if we don't get Tom Wolf reelected, whose fault is it? It's our fault. So anything we're going to say about economic development starts with, do you have a foundation and a background of people that are supportive of your agenda, that are more in line with your causes? I guarantee you, Tom Wolf is more aligned with it than his opponent. guarantee you. So, as you leave here today, make sure that you and everybody you know who is eligible to vote is first registered and then gets out to vote. Last weekend, this time I was in Atlanta, Georgia. And in Atlanta, Georgia, there was a governor's race. A black woman by the name of Stacey Abrams is running against a white guy who is of the same profile as our president. The Republican voting in the primary was up 171%. The Democratic turnout was 181%. That's how vicious it's going to be. All right, assume the same in Pennsylvania. So I'll close with that component. We must make sure Tom Wolf gets reelected. If you want another 5 years, 4 years of ensuring there's a backdrop to have a conversation about education and about economic development. All right, that's number one.
Stop for 1 second. Your mic is dying. I will just.
My mic is dying? Okay.
Pull that one out for me, please. Pull that one out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There you go. Let's try that one.
All right, is that better? No, that's worse. Is that better? Nope, that's worse.
I will make it.
Hey, whoever's keeping time, that kind of gets my time now. Before I got started, she's giving these signs, red, yellow, green. She told me that it was, when I get to what, 3 minutes, she'll give me the red sign? Yeah. Okay.
You got a couple extra.
Is that better? Now I feel like I got on my tiptoes. How about that? Is that better? Yeah. Okay, good. All right, so, numbers man. Environment is important. Jamie talked about the fact that we got to up our game. Trust me, I live in Philadelphia. I moved there 11 years ago. I now run economic development for the city. But when I look at the data, it's no different than York for black and brown skinned folks. I'm going to read you a couple of numbers that cover York, Lancaster, and Harrisburg. Poverty, percent of white people in poverty, 32% in York, 23% in Lancaster, 25% in Harrisburg. Black folk, 41% in York, 35% in Lancaster, and 35% in Harrisburg. Again, no different in Philadelphia. Median income, right? 32, 40, and $40,000, York, Lancaster, Harrisburg. Black folk, 26, 31, 27. Okay? So, we know, no matter where you are in America, I could be almost anywhere, these numbers will be about the same. We over-index on poverty, under-index on income. Okay? Why is that? The people before you gave you the hint. What's the word? Education. Education. Now, Jamie and the panel before reinforced and taught me some stuff, reminded me of some stuff about how challenging the K through 12 system is for us. But in spite of that, just like many of us, look, I grew up in the segregated South. I'm a North Carolina boy, grew up in segregated schools. So I know we must what? Be twice as good to have what? Say it again. There you go. All right. So we cannot let the fact that the deck is stacked against us. Make no mistake about it. The deck is stacked against us. Yeah, I saw the Black Klansman last Monday night, I think it was. How many of you have been down to the History Museum in D.C.? That's all you need to know about America. That's all you need to know. And the fact of the matter is, Maya Angelou gets it right. In spite of all that, yet we have no other choice. We have to do it. We have to do it. So, all that being said, let me get on to what I'm supposed to talk about. What are the solutions? Jamie already said it. In Philadelphia, so I know Philadelphia more than I know anything about York, Lancaster, and Harrisburg. This is your home, not mine. But I would say to you, the same challenges exist. And the question is, what is it that you want to be known for? Jamie, you stole my speech. All right, I'll reinforce. I'll give you a hint. So in Philadelphia, what we have decided we're going to do, we have a conference coming up, and I would invite any of you coming from a tech orientation. Anybody? That's part of the problem. Jamie, look around. I didn't see any hands go up. I saw one hand go up. A lot more hands need to go up, because that's where the economy not only will be, already is. What did you say, Jamie? 50% of the GDP is being generated by 20% of the population, and that's coming from tech. We have decided in Philadelphia, we're going to make Philadelphia the black and brown tech hub of the world. That's the stake we put in the ground. Let me say it again. We're going to make Philadelphia the black and brown tech hub of the world. And so we have a black and brown conference coming up in October. I think it's October 3rd through 5th, some dates like that. We had it last year as a prototype. It's beginning to roll itself out. So, also, I have a task force working on vertical ag. One of my visions is within 2 years, we'll have 2 or 3 sites in the hood producing vegetables. Okay? So, one of the challenges I would work with you on is figuring out, Carrie, what is it that this region, not only York, but Harrisburg, Lancaster, this MSA, Metropolitan Statistical Area, is going to be known for? Now, when I was 20-some-odd years old, which was 40-some-odd years ago, a white guy said the following thing to me that kind of pissed me off. But it turned out to be true when I stepped back from it. And it says that as a race of people, we are very good at running a 100-yard dash, but not very good at running a marathon. Okay? Now, I don't mean anything about racing. I'm talking about life. So, the question is, when this conference is over, the real question is, what is going to be the plan, and what are you going to do for the long haul to transform those numbers I just read to you? Because it is not going to happen in a day. It is not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen in a month, nor a year, or not 5 years. It's just not. We did not get here overnight, and we're not going to get out of it. But, just like today, you don't get anywhere if you don't start. I use this metaphor. If you're going to LA by car, at some point you got to pass through somewhere around Chicago. But again, you don't flip a switch to get to Chicago. So you're not going to get a flip a switch and have these economic states transform. It's going to take a while. But again, what's the plan? And it can't be my plan. It's got to be your plan. So, how close about to, how much time I got left? I got 8 minutes? Okay. I can work with that. Look, we come from a low wealth environment. I penned an article about half a decade ago that says, we have no rich uncles. Which is metaphor when my white peers want to start a business, they can often, and I'm stereotyping, but many of them, their sons and grandsons, now I can do it for my kids too now, but it took me 30 years. They can go say, I need to borrow 50 grand, invest in my business. How many of you got 50 grand to give your kid to invest in a business? Okay, a few. But that's what we got to get to. So when we don't have it, you know what we got to do? What must we do? No, we can borrow it, but that's another way to get it. Huh? We'll create it, but that's another way. We can pool our money. We can pool our money. And that is something that we've gotten away from. How do you think this church got built? How do you think this church got built? They pooled their money. What else did they do? They sacrifice. They sacrifice. So, part of our challenge for economic development is willing to say, what is it we want, and do we want it bad enough? And too often, because we're not willing to run the marathon, we're not committed to make the sacrifice and investment and pool our resources together. So, for the Harrisburg, Lancaster, York environment, I would encourage you, and since it's only a 1-hour train ride, Gary, wherever I can do to be helpful, it is helping to define what is your strategy, what is your plan to put some stakes in the ground that will be left for your children and your grandchildren. Now, Carrie and I belong to the same fraternity, and I suspect you had to learn the poem, The Bridge Builder, the same as I did. I'll metaphorically describe it to you. It talks about a man crossing a bridge. And as he's crossing, somebody says on the side, as he's crossing it, why are you building the bridge? You're already across. He says, I'm not building for me, I'm building for the person that will come behind me. All right? So at the end of the day, what you are about today is trying to ensure that your kids and grandkids have a different experience in this MSA than you've had. Now, Thomas, the guy who came to and got me, is he here? Well, coming back, a great 25-minute ride, he said that one of the things that he experienced, and he's from Philadelphia, that he experienced in York was that, he called them kids, did not have a full appreciation of education and had lost their respect for manners. Okay? Well, whose fault is that? I'm sorry? It's our fault. It's our fault. And so if we want a different outcome, and oh, by the way, my guess is everybody in here maybe has got one of these, right? This does not change anything about manners. It changes nothing. Okay? Now, it does change something about education. And Dr. Brace is right. Well, I love that lady. I love that lady. Because she is on top of her game. And she is making a significant contribution to Philadelphia. But at the end of the day, science, technology, engineering, and math is critical to the foundation. Now, when I finish in 3 minutes, you may say, that guy didn't talk much about economic development. Well, the reason I'm not spending a lot of time on that, because there's so many fundamentals and foundational issues that we must get to before we get to economic development. All right? Because nobody's going to swoop in and give you any money to do much of anything. And if it is, it's going to be a grant that's going to have all these conditions to it. Right? So, if you want a different York, who's going to have to do it? That's right. You got to do it for yourselves, just like the people who built this church. And so it boils down to it. I did write a couple of notes as I looked at later on me, and she gave me the yellow card. But look, I did write down these because I thought about it. See, wealth generation, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, is very different than it was 50, 60 years ago, right? Going to do a factory to build widgets, for the most part, is not going to get it done because the margins are like this, and most of the widgets are not produced in this country anymore. So it's have to be extraordinary, special, unique product. In fact, Look inside your clothes. 80% of what we got on did not come from this country. Okay? But, as I rode out here from the train station, Jamie already said it. Where is York, Lancaster, Harrisburg going over the next 20 years? So, some city council people in here, right? They know. If they don't, they should. If they don't, you need to get some news. I'm just saying. You help elect them, they need to help guide you on where it's going so you can figure out how to participate in that economy. All right? And then pool your money to be a part of it. And then spend your money with those that are aligned with your goals and objectives. Okay? Spend your, look. The spending power of black Americans, $1.4 trillion. If we were a nation, we would be the 11th richest nation in the world. But yet, we just indiscriminately spend our money, okay, and with no accountability. So you want to begin to change to improve your lot? Ask yourself, where am I best served with whom I spend my money? Okay? Now, how close are you to the barrel of law? Okay? Every time you go to barrel and spend your money, that's a bad investment. Okay? Every time you fly to the Maryland airport, that's a bad place to fly to. Because you're not helping the economy of the state in which you pay taxes. All right? By the way, we all do it. Every time you go on Amazon, I know we all do it, I do too. But every time you do it, you're not helping the economy of York, Lancaster, and Harrisburg.